I'm Jane Applegath. This is the Epic Vision Zone. What if aging wasn't about slowing down, but about getting stronger, sharper, and more alive than ever before? And what if your 50s and 60s and beyond could be your most powerful chapters of your life ever? After a health crisis in her mid 40s, Janet McConnell chose to rewrite her story. She walked away from a high powered corporate career to embrace her true passion, fitness, vitality, and the art of aging well. Her mission is clear: to challenge outdated ideas of aging and show us how to unlock our full strength, resilience, and purpose at any age. As a motivational speaker, wellness advocate, award winning senior bodybuilder, and midlife and senior fitness trainer, Janet empowers clients to embody wholeness in mind, body, and spirit. She is the author of The Elements of Aging Well: Wisdom from My Journey So Far, where she asks the question, aging well? What does that phrase mean to you? Based in Scottsdale, Arizona, and working with clients nationwide, she shares one powerful message: ageless vitality is possible when you ignite both your physical power and your mental strength. Welcome, Janet. Once again, thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you so much, Jane. I appreciate that great introduction.
Well, it's all you. And I'm so excited because I know that we've been on before, and we're going to delve a little deeper into all of this business about aging and what that means. And in fact, I don't even like that word. So we'll just remove that from our vocabulary. In fact, our very first question here is redefining aging. So, given your experience and your expertise, how do you believe women can begin to rewrite the story of aging for themselves?
I think we all have a different idea or desire when we think about the next 25 years of our lives. What do we want it to look like? And even more profound, as I'm turning 70 in a few months, I think about what do I want the last 10 years of my life to look like? Because it becomes more and more precious as time goes by. That's one of the things about aging that's great is aging well becomes so much more important the older we get. There's a lot of influencers out there in their 40s, they're 45 and they're talking about aging. And it's like, oh, honey, you need to wait a little while. I mean, it's okay. And the information is great. But when you're actually living it, it has such profound meaning. It makes me passionate to talk about it. So for women to figure it out, I think you really have to get in touch with yourself and what you want. It has to be very customized to what you care about. There's plenty of voices out there that tell you what you should care about and how you should age well. But how do you want to age? How do you, what, I mean, I have completely wild goals, but maybe, just maybe, you want to be able to travel the world or get on the floor and play with your grandchildren and be able to get up on your own. Maybe, it doesn't have to be pie in the sky. It should be exactly what you want.
Mm. Yes, because that's what's going to ignite your motivation and your passion. If it's like
Right.
I have a younger sister, and she is, wanting to get back into doing a workout, and I was saying, do something you love. Don't force something, like don't take up jogging or weightlifting, because she doesn't like those things. Because if you don't like them, especially as you get older, you're not going to do them. So I said, I
Right.
don't even care if it's Tai Chi, where you're just doing the movements, just something to move the energy. But yes, I agree 100%. Is it doesn't resonate, then
Yeah.
you're not going to do it. But thank you for that insight. I know that that's something that women don't give to themselves often. They don't ask themselves, what would I like to do? So that's a great mind over matter, which is a question that I have. What is the number one solution to cultivating motivation, especially for those women who struggle with body image?
It's definitely a thing. I still have ladies in their 70s that I train, and they're like, what do I do about this?
Mm,
It's like, honey, you're fine. You're healthy body weight. You're and you're not 25. And what is the standard? But it comes from our roots. When we were growing up as teenagers and 20 somethings, everything was about being skinny and fitting into a bikini and just being really cute. And that was all. I mean, skipping meals and doing tons of, eat a cookie, run 5 miles kind of mentality.
mm,
And that does not sustain. And what freeing idea it is to come to this realization of, I want to be able to be a good golfer, or I
mm,
want to be able to climb stairs on the Amalfi Coast. I want to be able to carry my own groceries. I mean, it can come down to the most mundane things. But once we have a setback, because anybody who's lived long enough has had at least one, if not more, where you are for a while restricted and
mhm,
you're healing, you're getting better, you're getting good care, but you just have to stop everything for a little while. That's when you really have a heart to heart talk with yourself and you realize,
mhm,
oh, I don't want this to be what I'm like when I'm 90. I want
mm.
to be I want to be like Judge Judy, or I just saw an interview with her yesterday. She's 82 and she's wild. She's so full of energy and she's so bright and sharp. And it's like, okay, there you go. There's an example. So another answer to the question of how should I figure out what healthy aging means to me is look ahead 10, 15, 20 years and find a public figure who's rocking
Mm,
it. And just
mm.
that's the picture you want on your bathroom mirror to remind you, okay, she's doing it. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to be this little frail, helpless, sick person. I'm going to do that.
Janet, that is pure gold. I love that. Get someone that you admire and put a picture where you can see it on your mirror. And and every morning that you wake up, it reminds you, oh, I, yeah, I can do this. I can do this, because that gives you a visual and it brings you back, because you might wake up and you have a hard week or whatever, but it keeps bringing you back. It keeps rewiring that message into your mind. I love that. Thank you. That's an excellent idea. Well, and by the way, congratulations on turning 70. I was going to say that earlier, but I just got caught up in the question, because you're right. As we get older, we start to reflect, okay, how much time do I really have left? And that
Right.
really gets for you and I, because we think a lot alike, gets our mojo going. It's saying, I only have, and nowadays, of course, they're saying that they'll find the fountain of youth. If you live 10 more years, we'll know how you can live forever. I'm thinking, yeah, okay, whatever. Quality of life is what we want, not just to live forever. But
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
Who wants to be sick?
exactly. But you're right. It really is the motivation. And speaking of that, you have written a book, and kudos to you, because I love your book and how you weaved in the earth elements for your book. So it's titled The Elements of Aging, and I have it right here. I just absolutely love it. It's a quick read, but you also encourage journaling, so you have spaces for that. So give our audience some insight into how you've broken this down and why this is such a great book for anyone who just wants to learn about healthy living and so on.
Well, it's funny. The story of that is kind of interesting because, my clients and my friends were like, Janet, you should write a healthy book, like a book about healthy living and good habits, or, how do you do your diet and what do you do to work out? And I thought, well, okay. And I would sort of get started and I think, this is so boring. Who wants to hear me, 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 me? It's like I felt like it was a little bit much. And I thought, how many books are out there, from Jane Fonda, Kathy Ireland. I mean, it goes on and on. And there's many more. Those are back from our era of being middle-aged, but there's many more out there now where healthy public figures who are kind of, sometimes they're very beautiful, or they have been in like television or film, they will write an exercise book. So there's a zillion. So you can Google, you can find exercise stuff. But I thought, what we women need, and this is kind of angled toward women over 50 or 50 and older. What do you really need to know? Or what do you need to be reminded of that you already have? You have the tools already, but we just forget with our busy lives. So there is a chapter in here on diet, like how to think about food, but not like a diet plan. It's how to recalibrate your thinking. And there's a chapter on exercise, which talks a little bit about how when I was in my late 40s and I became a competitive bodybuilder, it was such a transforming experience that I joke with people that I was a born again bodybuilder. Like I was proselytizing to everyone my new religion, that you need to all do this and you can experience this transformation too. Pretty quickly, my clients schooled me. Janet, we don't want to be bodybuilders. We just want to be healthy and strong. Can you start over and kind of talk to us regular people, please? So I understood that after a while. I thought, oh yeah, right. Some people just want to be able to do things that are physical, but maybe it's a sport like pickleball or tennis or golf, or maybe they have lots of grandchildren and they want to be really active with them, or they love world travel, or they want to have the stamina to be able to go on a walk with their kids and, who are middle aged now, and just kind of like not hold them up. I don't know, it could be anything. So my exercise advice is more around picking the things that you like to do and then structure your training or your exercises for that. And sometimes it is a matter of going to the gym if your golf swing is bad, or you have a lower back problem or something where you actually need to strengthen the muscles that you need to do the thing you love. So there's that wisdom. But then I thought, what else is it about being older that's really precious? And I claim resilience, because we all have it. If you're still breathing, boy, do you have it. Think of all the stuff you have gone through, all the things you've overcome, and you're still here. What's that all about? So you can bring that to bear in your aging process to remind yourself of how strong you are in spirit and in character, even if your body isn't quite where you want it to be. What about things like, is it possible to form new habits? How do you go about doing that? Because you can't teach an old dog new tricks is not true. You can
Right.
learn. And so some wisdom around forming really good habits. And then also a chapter on, this is a really important one, on setting boundaries. We have such a hard time. We grew up in an age when being a people pleaser was a prime commodity, and people like you more. They like you so much more if you say yes to everything. When you start having boundaries, people are going to start to not like you, certain people. And so that's an indicator of maybe where you need to steer your friendship group a little differently. Maintaining your boundaries is probably one of the most important things, because knowing what they are and then establishing them, because people will take your time and people will tell you what you ought to be doing and to act your age, and to stop being so aggressive with some decision you've made, or to calm down or to do this for me, you can put your needs aside. And that is a big indicator that, oh, there's a boundary. That's what I need to hold. And just take the risk of holding it and see what
Mm.
happens, because it's kind of like a little litmus test for the people that are around you and who you want to, invest your time in.
Yeah, that one is so valuable, Janet, because it's true. I mean, especially women, because we do like to people please. We do like to give, especially in our generation. And one of the things that is very important is to make space and time for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's interesting because you wouldn't think that that would be something that you would reflect on in a fitness book,
Right.
but it's a wonderful thing to tell, because it's definitely something that is very important, especially for women. And that leads me into my question, and probably you might have answered it: the strength beyond fitness. Because I often ask, what do women struggle with most when they come to you? And this is something out of the ordinary, creating boundaries for yourself. But is it that they don't make the time? Like, you do often approach someone and say, honey, I can help you. Let's do this. And they go, oh, no, I don't have the time. I have to do this. I have to do that. And that's something I wouldn't have thought of. Is that one of the top things that women struggle with when you speak with them?
It's definitely in the top 5, I would
Okay.
say. Or it may be a version of that, like, I really want to do this, and I do have some time, but not this week because I've got this and this and this to do. Maybe next week, but oh no, wait, I've got to do blah blah blah.
Mm,
So there's an inkling of a desire, but you can tell they quite haven't come around in their thinking about the priority of their own selves. And so that does happen. And I kind of maintain this belief that if you want to know what somebody's priorities are, you only need to look 2 places. You look at their bank account, their check register, the expenditures when they balance their checkbook, and you look at their calendar, time and money. That's where they're
mm,
spending their time and their money. And that is where you can tell it's revealed. Like, we can kind of hide it from ourselves, but there is the black and white right there. And
wow.
so I would say the biggest struggle actually is more in the realm of, once they start training with me and they start to get stronger and they lose a little bit of body fat and they start to look better, look good in a tank top, their shoulders. Then the next thing that happens is, well, they say, well, I want to lose the fluff around my tummy, and I really do eat healthy. I should be able to do this. And then when you really drill in, they do eat healthfully most of the time. But then there's the birthday cake and the wine, and there's the pizza night with the grandkids, and there, so you can find, like, every 3 or 4 days there is some big carb dump, because we're enjoying life and
Right.
nobody wants to take that away from you. So it comes down to having a serious talk about really what's more important to you, because it is okay if cake and wine are a thing. If you
Mhm.
want to share a dessert with your spouse when you go out to a
Right.
fancy dinner, have a glass of champagne, and that to you is a rich memory and it just makes you feel so happy. Well,
Mhm.
then maybe don't worry about the fluff around your tummy so much. If it's really important, I know how to do it. But it's gonna mean giving up the cake and the wine, so I don't know if you wanna do that. So it's that push and pull, because here's the conversation. Life's too short to give now, especially, to give up those little pleasures, the wine, the cake, the
Mhm.
pizza, the donut, the cupcake. Life's too short. Yes, and what else is life too short for? Life is too short to deprive you of the strength and the stamina and the the way you want to look and feel in your clothes, life's too short. Why go through another 10 years where you're having to lie on the bed to zip up your jeans? It's like, what are you doing? So you have to decide. And
Yeah.
I kind of help with that compromise a little bit.
Mm. Part psychologist and fitness trainer. But you're absolutely right. I mean, choices. That's what it boils down to. Life is all about choices. And
Right,
if your
right.
choice is for this, then okay, that's not as important as that. But yeah, but that's great that you lay it out for them because, you know, little cheating here and there, okay, maybe, a special occasion, but if you're doing it, like you said, the carb dump every like 3 or 4 times a week and you're not even aware of it, that's
Right.
a number one, right? First, become aware, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I did have a muffin the other day. Oh, I forgot about that,
Yeah.
because
And
it's,
getting people to journal, that's a hard one
yes,
too. A lot of people don't
yes.
like to write, and it's like, how do you remember? Okay, what did you eat yesterday? Well, I had cereal. I had some Greek. I think I had a salad. Like you don't remember. You have to write it down because then you can see
See.
where
Hmm.
the pattern is. Is it always Friday night, or is it always, where you can plan ahead and go, okay, I'm going to eat a really good lunch that day and drink plenty of water, and I'm going to have a protein shake an hour before I go out to eat. And then when I go out to eat, I will be in complete control of my appetite. I'll enjoy the
Mm.
food, but I'll eat a little less of the things that are really rich and high in calories. I can still taste them, but I don't have to clean my plate, and it's little tricks like that.
Yes, yes, that's great. And that's why your book, I love that you've got space there for people to journal. And
Mhm.
that's like walking right into our next question. 3 habits to ageless vitality. Now, you mentioned habits a little earlier, but name 3 healthy habits that someone can easily incorporate into their busy life to help them nourish and provide a healthy lifestyle for themselves.
I think it's well, there's more than three, but it's good to have three so that it's not overwhelming.
Right.
But I think the leading indicator of a successful person in whatever pursuit it is the ability to act without anything happening right then. You know, when it doesn't, you go for 3 days with it really, with workouts and eating right, and nothing changes on the scale.
Mm.
There's changes going on. It's not measurable yet. Believe me, your body is noticing when you change something, it knows. And you just have to do it long enough. So the ability to be able to act anyway, even though something isn't happening right then.
Okay.
And also remember, again, looking at your circle of friends, average people will try to make you average.
Hmm.
You are only the average of the 5 people that you hang around with the most. And that was the hardest, most painful thing I had to learn. There's a lot of stories. I'll say something and then I'll say like this, and I tell kind of how I experienced it. But it's going to be, if you want to be extraordinary or above average, then you're going to stick out. You're not going to be
Mm.
average. And you're going to experience some of the blowback from that. So be ready for it and get those boundaries in place.
Right.
And and then the third thing is, we think that taking our goals seriously is going to be painful. That means discomfort, change, but nothing is more painful than having a lack of self-control.
Mm.
That doesn't feel good. And it's true that, that there's some wisdom out there of, you know, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So
Mm.
think about the things that you do in your daily life where you're fastidious and neat, and you put everything away after you finish something, or put the cart back at the grocery store, the little tying the knot on an activity. That says something about your character,
Mhm.
that's a little thing. But how you do that, then let it bleed out into all the things that you are doing toward maintaining your health. Do those things the way you do the one thing and maintain your character and your integrity.
Yes, yes. So those habits, yes. I love that. You've got do it anyway, even though you don't see the results. So make it a habit because
Yeah.
there's a scientific calculation, and I don't remember, but it takes so many days to make it become a habit. So you just
Yeah.
have to keep doing it till it becomes that habit. And then, second of all, be aware of who you're surrounding yourself with and
Yeah.
make that a habit that it's those individuals that are going to lift you up. I always love to challenge myself with more intelligent people because
Mhm.
that elevates my brain or
Yes.
my physicality. It's like, okay, show me how to do that, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
then the third one, what you mentioned, was do everything like you do other things. In other words, if
Like,
you're really meticulous, own that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
see it go out in all directions like a ripple in a pond. Well, yes, it reminded me of a story that came up the other day when I was filming my YouTube. I remembered a quote, and that quote is that you don't become confident by shouting affirmations in front of a bathroom
Mm,
mirror, but by having a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are.
mm,
And that comes into your health completely, and you tell everyone that you're turning a page and you're going to be healthier in the new year or after your birthday or whenever, then you must do it. If not, don't say it, but it's
mm,
doing it that is undeniable proof, not just saying words. And the idea that I really have adopted lately with my clients is discomfort is your friend. It's discomfort, sure. It's not like a warm fuzzy, but discomfort is a sign that growth is happening. Anytime
mhm,
you're uncomfortable, whether it's an emotional thing that you're having to work through and get your communication straight with a loved one, uncomfortable for sure. Growth. You're trying so hard to keep regular with your 10,000 steps. Uncomfortable. Growth is happening. And so if you can reframe discomfort of pushing away the dessert or doing another workout in the week that because you missed one, or facing up to an uncomfortable conversation with a friend, lean into that discomfort because it means growth is happening. And that's
mm.
gold. That's what you want.
Yes, that is absolutely the truth. They say that the closer you get to being okay, it's your old self wanting you to return back to the comfort zone, to the couch, as I say
Right.
it. So the
Right.
closer you get to the uncomfortable zone,
Mm-hmm.
is the further you're drawing away from that old self, and it's panicking. It's like, no, come back, come back.
Mm-hmm.
And what your new self, your new story, your new chapter is saying, no, I'm going to keep going forward because that's breaking out and that's where I'm going to grow. So,
Right.
yes, I love that. Yes, growth is in your uncomfort zone. And that's where, like you said, that's where you blossom. And I love that. Thank you for
Yeah.
that perspective.
And I think it's important for people to understand that not to beat themselves up if they've
Mhm,
started and stopped and started and fallen out, because the desire to seek comfort is evolutionary. It's
mhm.
what it's why we're here, because we
Yeah.
found ways to be safe, to be
Safe.
fed, to be in a community, all of these things. And so fear of discomfort was an indicator that something is off for my survival. And so we're wired that way.
Mhm.
And now we have community. We have food to eat, if, hopefully, and we have safety, and we have those basic needs that our ancestors had to fight tooth and nail for.
Mm.
So now it's not about, if you're afraid of something because it's uncomfortable, that is an outdated fear. It's
Mhm.
part of us, but recognize it for what it is. It's outdated. And now you can, without that evolutionary knee jerk reaction to fear, you can press through it and
Mm.
embrace it, because that's
Mm.
how you get stronger and that's how you grow. And it's like everybody, it says like most people are one boring habit away from changing their entire life. I think that's one of my favorite quotes.
I love that. One boring habit from changing themselves. Oh my gosh, you're absolutely right. And I love that metaphor that you just said. I don't know if you realize it, but pressing through it because you're bodybuilding. So we're going to
Hmm.
press through this, press through the old recording. Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. Well, here's another challenge that people deal with, and I'm a big believer like you are that movement and mobility is key to keeping ourselves vital and young and healthy, because it moves our energy. And
Yeah.
a lot of the ancient teachings, a lot of times they say if you have an ache or a pain, it's stuck energy within your
Mhm.
body. So
Mhm.
if with all the busyness that we create for ourselves these days, and maybe it's good and bad, well, mostly it's not good for us, but we've got busy lives. So how can people incorporate mobility into their lives? 5 easy ways that they could easily incorporate some mobility into their lives without, say, having to go and work out or to a gym or take a jog. Is there some suggestions you have?
Yeah, I would say, stop trying to find the parking spot close to the door of the store.
Mm.
Park far away. Give people who have walkers more parking spaces close to the store. You don't need that. You can walk. I know you and I are in Phoenix right now, so I kind of say take it with a grain of salt, because it's 110 degrees outside, and it's like walking across a cast iron skillet. But walk farther when you
Mm.
just can work it in. Obviously take the stairs instead of the elevator. That was the first thing I did. I just had a knee replacement surgery a year and a half ago. And the first thing I would do once I got out of physical therapy was climb stairs, climb stairs, climb stairs, because you can't for a little bit.
Mm.
It's too
Mm.
hard to bend. You don't have the flexibility, the mobility, or
Mhm.
the range of motion. So that's another one. Those are kind of like, another thing is to help make sure that you are maintaining core stability and balance, because that's something that starts to fade a little bit
Mhm.
as we get
Right.
older, our neurology, if it's not challenged. So do things standing on one foot, brushing your
Mm.
teeth, or, rinsing the dishes, or doing some like folding laundry, or any of the domestic tasks that you can stand in one place. Anytime you can just stand still, stand on one foot as long as you can, and then stand on the other foot. I think it's important to walk every day as much as you can. That's always a good one. It really helps with hip mobility. One of the things I've started noticing on vacation this last month, we were on a ferry that was traveling up the panhandle of Alaska, and there were lots of people on that ferry that loved seeing the scenery, but were not hikers, backpackers, not
Mm.
cyclists. They were very unhealthy, very overweight, and just walking, but they would be walking up and down the deck
Right.
every day. And I thought, well, there you go.
Yep.
They're in the game, and somebody, their doctor or somebody has told them, you can't just sit in the observation lounge. You need to get out and walk. And so that was a positive sign. Um, and then the other thing is to make sure that you're doing something several times a week that supports directly the things that you want to be able to do when you're 90. It's
Mm.
like that, like Dr. Peter Attia calls it, the centenarian Olympics, the centenarian decathlon. When you're 100 years old, what are 10 things, exercises you can do right now that will help you experience that final decade a little bit more? So I think centenarian decathlon is kind of a catchy way of defining that. But it's things like, hanging from a bar as long as you can, get that grip strength,
Hmm.
and being able to do a plank, being able to go up and down. So go up and down stairs 3 or 4 times, because that's
Right.
something you'll be able to do. Do a farmer carry where you're carrying 2 heavy things, grocery bags or kettlebells, because you're training for that. So, there's little exercises that mimic the activities that you would want to be able to still do to stay independent. I would say one of the biggest ones is doing chair squats too,
Mm.
like sit in a chair and stand up and sit down and stand up. Do it 15 times and don't push with your hands to stand up. And
Mm.
that will prepare you for being able to get out of a low chair without having to go oofda.
Wow, that would be a real burner for your thighs. Wow, yeah, definitely. But yeah, see, all of those are anyone can easily do.
Mhm.
Incorporate it into their busy day. So, thank you for those. Those are terrific and the great takeaways. So here's something that we wanted to debunk. You say fat in your book. You have you cover fat is valuable, and it's a myth that we all think, oh, the fat, do away with the fat. And I have to admit, I've seen people that do away with everything and they look emaciated. They don't look healthy. So
Mhm.
give us some idea and insight into why that is paramount to get enough of the right kind of calories, and what does it mean to getting lean, not by starving yourself, but
Right,
by understanding the difference.
right. I think, first of all, I have the appetite of a linebacker. And if I don't eat the right things, I will look like a linebacker, and not in a good way. I think that's a very powerful question. So, having to do with diet and longevity, there are some really kind of basic rules of thumb that everybody can follow, and then within that, you can do the subtleties that match your taste, your lifestyle, your goals. But the big rocks are: get enough protein. Protein is the building
Yes.
blocks for your body. All that exercise, you're not going to build muscle if your body doesn't have the little Legos that you eat in the form of protein to actually make those muscles stay
Mhm.
and grow. So protein is first. I recommend no less than zero point 0.5 grams per pound of body weight. So if you're 120 pounds, right? So you want to multiply that times zero point 0.5. So you want to be getting 60, 75, 80 grams, but that's minimum. That's just maybe to not lose muscle.
Mm.
But to gain muscle, you have to get closer to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight to be able to have that material, the actual bricks and mortar that your body needs to make muscle. And so often we overlook that. And one of the great things about protein is it's satiating. So when you eat a
Mhm.
meal that's rich in protein, you just feel full and satisfied for 3 or 4 hours or more. If you have fiber like vegetables with it too, then that will even extend it farther. So those are both satiety things. Then then you have carbs and fat. Okay, so carbohydrates and fats are both sources of energy that make your body work. It's the
Mm.
gas that makes it go.
Okay.
It runs all of your neurons in your brain. So your brain takes up, like I read somewhere, like 1/5 of your body energy. That could be slightly off, but it was a kind of a statistic somebody threw out there recently. And I believe it, because what happens when you're under eating is you get brain fog. No
Yes.
wonder your brain is like, help, I need something. And the brain is very gelatinous, very much, it's a very fatty
Hmm.
organ. So if you aren't eating enough fats, then your brain suffers, and your skin and your hair and your cell walls. Those little cell walls need fat. That's why we take, the omega
Right.
threes. It's a type that, it's a supplement for if you're not eating a lot of fish, for example. And carbohydrates are your friend too, because your body just, that's its favorite
Hmm.
fuel. The body is a hybrid car. It burns fat and sugar, but it prefers sugar. It's so much
Mm.
more accessible, and that's why we crave it. That's another evolutionary desire or a craving. That's because sugar will keep you alive if you can't find anything else for a little while. And so sugar, but what you can do is pick the kind of sugar that is not going to spike your blood sugar straight up into the ceiling. Any kind of candy or desserts or things made with white flour. So even
Mm.
tortillas and bread, which are not desserts, but they have the same effect. It's like my trainer used to call it, it's cake without frosting. So those are fast carbs. They give you energy right away, and then you crash, and it spikes your insulin, and insulin is a fat storing hormone. So there you
Mm.
go. There's the formula for fat gain. But if you eat root vegetables like potatoes and sweet potatoes, and or squash or carrots or those kinds of things, they have sugar in them, because roots are where the plant stores its sugar when it's growing.
Mm.
That's where its food source is. It's made of sugar, and you're eating it. But what happens is, because there's so much fiber in it, it goes into your system way more slow. So it's like a long burning candle that just goes and goes and goes and goes. It's not a brush fire that is, a Twinkie. A Twinkie makes a brush fire. Um, so fat, like, I guess one of the things I could address here quickly is the whole Ozempic craze. I mean, you
Hmm.
to be living in a cave to not be familiar with what's going on out there with Ozempic. And it started out as a really life-saving peptide. They call it a drug. It's a peptide for diabetes, because it helped people with type 2 diabetes curb their appetite so they could control what they were eating, and it protected them from having a diabetic coma. It was literally life-saving. But it was also found, of course, just for people, anybody who is having trouble curbing their appetite, that it would help them lose weight. The problem is, if you don't have muscle on your body to begin with, and you don't have the habit of working out and building muscle, and you go on a fast weight loss, it's like a starvation diet, except you're still eating, but you're eating very heavily into a calorie deficit. What the body does is, evolutionarily, it wants to hold on to fat the longest, because
Mm.
fat will save your life. When you're a cave woman, and the elders of your tribe haven't killed a buffalo lately, then good thing you've got some fat on your body, so you won't starve to death. So
Right.
that's kind of there to protect us. So guess what the body really prefers to do? Burn muscle. Burn that muscle
Mm.
off. It takes extra calories to maintain it, which, by the way, is why it's good to have muscle on your body, because it absorbs calories more
Right.
readily and raises your basal metabolism. So there's the money in the bank. But what happens then is, then they lose all their muscle, and they're fat, and it shows they get that Ozempic face. You've heard of it,
Oh,
you know, the
yeah.
skin in face
Mhm.
and kind of like shriveled skin
Mhm.
on young women, you know, fairly, I mean, they're in their 30s and they just look gaunt and skinny and scrawny, kind of scrawny. And then they have no muscle left, very little, just enough to move. And the
Mhm.
fat goes then eventually because they're in a slow starvation. So then if they stop taking Ozempic, guess what they build back? Not the muscle, the fat. And so then they're even more percentage of body fat than they were before they started because the muscle, you know, kind of offsets that. So you were asking about how fat is good. Fat is a nutrient. Fat helps your cells and your brain to function, and it's and a little bit of subcutaneous fat, especially on women. It's soft. It looks nice.
Right.
It's smooth. It's appealing, and it gives you a little layer. The only place where it's not great is the visceral fat, which is in the abdomen. That
Mhm.
fat that hangs around your organs. That's the dangerous fat that you don't want. There's nothing good about that. So,
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Janet, that was a great, great explanation. And the Ozempic craze, as I call it, because yes, I've heard some horror stories as well about side effects that, were unbeknownst till the whole world decided to jump on board and use it for a diet, solution. But yes, I've always thought that it was not healthy. And that explanation just really, um, does explain a lot of the side effects that people don't realize. All they're concentrating on is, oh, I'm going to lose weight, but what
right.
they
And
don't
it's good.
realize is, yeah, and it's quick, and losing weight
Yeah.
quick is never a solution.
Mhm.
But
And,
the
and I don't want
oh,
to demonize Ozempic because there are
hmm,
people that definitely need it.
right.
And a good example of somebody who didn't have diabetes but was loaded with muscle and did Ozempic. Serena Williams. I don't know if you've seen her lately. You know how she's big. She's an
Yeah.
Amazon. She's a beast, but
Hmm.
she was big. Well, but she's got a ton of muscle underneath it all,
Hmm.
right? Because
Right.
of what she does. She went on Ozempic recently. I saw a picture of her. She looks amazing because she's got sculpted shoulders, washboard stomach. All the muscles are showing now, and she continues to work out. So that
Hmm.
means she's eating enough food and lifting enough weights and exercising enough to make her actually look better. She is one example that I have seen recently where it actually came out right. But how many people out there who don't have type 2 diabetes are willing to exercise to the degree that they can maintain a physique like that and be healthy?
Right. Yes. You're right. I mean, and she's a professional athlete. So
Hmm.
yeah, not too many for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That was great, great insight. The next horizon. What's one new challenge or project that you personally are taking on right now?
I've got two.
Okay.
One is I am recommitted to competing next year around this time. I don't have the dates yet, for being on the bodybuilding stage for 70 and over. And it's not to win a trophy. It's not for all the stuff that I think I did when I started. I don't care about that now. I care about showing up and about keeping myself in the best possible physical condition. And sometimes I won't start that until I have a big, hairy, audacious goal. So I have, in fact, yesterday was the first day of my cleanup diet. So I'm
Mhm.
now eating meat, fish, eggs, vegetables, fruit, coffee, and water. That's it. Nothing else. No flour, no sugar. Well, there's a little bit of sugar, obviously, in fruit, and no alcohol, no fried food, no fast food, no processed foods, I guess.
Yeah.
So that is big, and I am excited. And in 24 hours, I already feel so much better. It's kind of embarrassing, like, duh, because I can backslide just like anyone else. I'm not some, perfect little angel on a pedestal. And I have shared this with my YouTube community and said, all right, you guys all wanted to see some exercise videos. It's not my primary thing, but okay, I'll do them. But you better not say one thing about the little roll on my tummy or you're out of here, because I am being vulnerable with you and I'm showing you what I look like at the beginning of a new mountain that I'm climbing. So this is the first time I've done this where I have 3,000 people holding me accountable because I told them this. And there's videos of me from the side doing sit-ups with my roll just
Yeah.
so it's not pretty, but it's what it is. And then the other goal is I'm starting my second book, and the
Mm.
working title is Unretired and Unstoppable.
Mm.
And it's going to be about the comfort zone. There's a book out there written by Michael Easter that's called The Comfort Crisis. And he's a man in his 40s. And he just realized it as a younger person that people are addicted to comfort. And he writes his story about how he confronted this by doing a really like an ultra long hike and all of the things he learned about himself along the way and how he changed his body. It was really cool. And I thought, well, that's a great story. What would it be like if I wrote something on that theme, but for seniors? Because
Hmm.
is a killer. Comfort
Yeah.
will take your breath, take your life, take your freedom, take your independence, your identity. Comfort will take all of those things from you. So,
Yes.
yes, you want to have a comfortable bed. Yes, at the end of the day, maybe you want to sit in your easy chair, but that's it. Gotta make yourself a little uncomfortable. So it's going to be around that.
Oh my gosh, Janet, this is so exciting. Oh my God, that's a lot on your plate. You've got your bodybuilding, you've got your book, and I know you have your clients, and you've got your YouTube channel. But oh my gosh, this is going to be so exciting. I can't wait. I'm going to have to come and check you out at the gym. I can hold the
There you
camera
go.
for you.
You're on.
I I could give you motivation while I sit there with the camera, but still, congratulations. I'm like
Thank
you.
you.
If you have that big audacious goal, that's something to aim for, and it encourages you. And even though the days that you don't want to, you're like, no, I've got to do this. This is the goal that I've set for myself. And while you're already in shape, so I was going to say you're not giving yourself much time, but you're already in shape. So it's really, like you said, just getting back down to business with your diet, and obviously working out probably a lot more because you've been
Yeah.
busy with your business, right?
More
So,
strategically. I'm working out. I have a trainer because even trainers need a trainer. And my trainer will keep me from the thing of, well, I'm a little tired today. I think I'll skip it.
mm,
I'll do something
right,
tomorrow. Never. Not now. Not for the, I mean, I'm on a kind of a year-long trajectory. Well, and I know that the weight will come off in the first 3 months because that's just the way I've done this 6 times already. So I know how it works. And I know I trust the process.
right.
I weighed myself and I thought, okay, now I'm not going to weigh myself for another 2 weeks. I'm not going to obsess because it's more than the weight on the scale, of course.
Oh yeah,
So yeah. And,
yeah.
and to your point about being really busy, I don't even see myself as a really driven person so much. I guess when you listed everything, it's like, that is a lot, but they are all things I love to do. There are things that I'm passionate about. And now that I'm turning 70, how many more years do I have to create a legacy? How many more years do I have to influence people for good? I mean, I don't have a ton of time unless, that dude, Brian Johnson, who's, that dude that's in his 40s, but his body is in his 20s because he's kind of a human experiment. And he's telling everybody, don't die. Don't die because we're going to have an answer. So I can't let him down. I have to stay alive to see if it works.
Oh my
But
gosh.
nobody's making me do these things at all. I'm just like, oh, I think I'd like to try that. Okay, let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, I love it. I think that is so great. And it's going to be documented now this time. So it's going to be even more fun. And you'll get more people following your journey and you'll motivate more people. Who knows? You might get some, who wants to join me? Put it on your YouTube channel. Who wants to
Right,
join this challenge with me? They don't have to be with you in the studio. They can have their own gym and their own trainer, or get their diet down to what needs to be done because yeah, make it
sure.
a group thing. Oh,
Yeah,
fabulous. I
yeah.
love it. I love it.
Well, and it is surprising how nice everybody was because I've just been face to camera like this,
Mhm.
you know, giving some pearls of wisdom, whatever. And then what I've done is I've said, okay, I'm going to be doing these exercises with my trainer on camera for you. Uh-oh, you're going to see my body how it is right now. It's time for me to step down from that pedestal. I know what I'm talking about, but I'm a human and I'm starting over. We all have to start over and over and over. It never ends. So I'm going to take a risk, you guys, and I'm going to show you what I look like right now. And in 2 or 3 months, you're going to see a difference because I'm going to do another exercise. So now I'm thinking to myself, oh, I really do have to do this. Oh
Yeah,
no.
yeah. No, it's great. You're putting it out there. That's the thing. You tell a friend or you tell many people, in your case, 3,000. And, that's the other challenge. It's like, well, I can't let them down. I've told them I'm going to do this, so I have to do this. Well, then that's another thing that people, that's a great thing to do when you have a goal is tell someone else to
Right.
keep you accountable for it. And so we're going to cheer you on for sure. Oh, Janet, this is so exciting. I'm definitely going to follow up with you on your journey. So tell our audience where they can discover more about you and get your book and resources.
Well, I think I've shared some links with you, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I've got a book that it's on Amazon. If you just type in Elements of Aging Well, it'll come up in the search window if you don't have the link. And I am on YouTube. Aging Strong for Life is my channel. And it is all things about working out, supplements, nutrition, setting up a program for yourself. How do you even find a trainer? Like I have a whole thing about how to find the right person, like a matchmaker. um, and so that's the main way to get my content. I'm also on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is more business, more of a corporate business kind of environment. Facebook is, I could give you the link for that, but it's really, pictures of my cats. So I don't know if that's, I don't know if you want to know that much about me. I use that
Yeah.
for all the casual stuff from my family.
Yeah. So we'll have all of that contact information on the Epic Vision Zone bio pages for you. And like Janet mentioned, her YouTube channel is fabulous. So go and check that out. There's no excuse. You can find out all the information that you need on health and nutrition and staying vital. So, Janet, if there was one message that you could share with the world, what would it be?
Wow, there's so many things I want to say. Um, the changing of your habit is the hard part, not the habit itself. The habit isn't
Mm,
hard. It's you having to change your habits. You cannot lose if you don't quit.
mm, I love that. You cannot lose if you don't quit. Absolutely. Well, thank you again, Janet, for joining us here today and reminding us that it's never too late to live fully alive. And once again, don't forget to visit our bio pages for all of Janet's information, where you'll find contact, links to her YouTube, and more. And be sure to follow me on Instagram at Jane Applegath, and look me up at janeapplegath.com, where you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Epic Vision Zone, and also on Spotify and iTunes and all other streaming platforms. Sending you much love and gratitude. This is the Epic Vision Zone, the ultimate source for extraordinary transformation.